we're moving to the chapter on persuasion, and this is literally, you've already heard me say this twice. It's one of my favorite chapters. I said it during the audience analysis chapter. I said it during the supporting your ideas chapter, and now I'm saying it again. And go back to the reasons why I like these chapters. I said I like chapters that we could talk about in class or over the internet, and then you can go out and you use them on other people. You can go out and see other people, companies, stores, salespeople are using them on you. This is one of those chapters. And my focus in graduate school was advanced persuasion or rhetoric. And I just love this area. I love the field. I hope you do too. So let's start. This first video is going to start with the definition on persuasion. And go back to what you've heard me say before. It's the field of communication is not like science. And so it's not super universal. So what's going to happen is every author is pretty much going to have their own definition. And I'll compare these definitions to sandwiches because we love food. So some of the definitions for persuasion are really, really, really simple. They're like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, don't get me wrong, but some of them are really just kind of bland. And so like, I'll give you an example. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the author's name. One of the definitions that I saw in a textbook was from, well, forget the name, but it was basically saying persuasion is any message intended to influence someone's thoughts or ideas. And I thought, that's pretty good. It's just kind of bland, right? Then you get some of them that are a little bit more flavorful, maybe like a ham and Swiss croissant, all right? And they have a little bit more texture and a little bit more layers to them. And some of these sound like this. They'll say, persuasion is communication intended to change the way people believe or behave. And I'm like, man, that's pretty good, a little bit more complex. So it's interesting that your book actually uses the definition from Stephen Lucas. So Lucas has the most popular textbook at all colleges, universities. And I've used this one for years. In graduate school, we focused, Lucas has been around a very long time. And so his definition is interesting because his definition adds a word that makes it, one, controversial. And you know how much I love controversy. And it makes it a little bit more complex. Think of I'll compare this one to like a good Italian sandwich with multiple layers and flavors, right? And so look at what your book has. Your book says, am I sharing my screen? I don't believe I shared my screen with you. Now I feel awful. There it is. Okay, so your book does use the book that we don't use all that much, uses Lucas's definition. It says, persuasion is the process of creating, reinforcing, and that's the word that a lot of textbooks or definitions won't use, is that word reinforcing, or changing people's beliefs or actions. Okay, so that word reinforcement is interesting because that's kind of a little bit of a debate in the field of communication. Is reinforcement of existing beliefs persuasion? One group says absolutely. The other group says no, it's more like encouragement, and encouragement isn't totally persuasion. So I ask my classes a lot. I'll say, okay, for those of you who go to a place of worship, and I'll say, is there a lot of, think about the public speaking component of a church, or if you go to a synagogue, the public speaking component of that service. And I'll always ask people, I'll say, let's say it's the sermon. I'll say, is there a lot of persuasion that occurs in the sermon? And I get people say, yeah. And I had one guy, literally, he wanted to go into the ministry. He was wanted to be a youth pastor. And I asked him this question. He said, yeah. And I said, okay, just hear me out for a second. If everyone in that room already believes in that God, let's say it's Jesus, they believe that he was the Son of God, and they believe that he conducted miracles, and they believe that he lived about 2,000 years ago. And they believe, I said, if everybody in the room, and they already believe that thou shalt not murder, and thou shalt honor your mother and father, whatever the 10 commandments are. If everyone already believes in that message, I said, then is there a lot of persuasion? And he kind of paused, and I remember him looking, and he goes, man, I guess not. And I said, I'm not changing your mind. I said, or trying to change your mind. I said, I'm just asking a question, because one boat believes that reinforcement of current beliefs is persuasion. while the other boat says it's not. And so but that's the definition you're going to see on the test, is what you see right in front of you from Lucas. That word reinforcement, a lot of the other books won't have that word reinforcement. So there's the definition of persuasion. We come back, we're going to talk about why persuasion is so darn difficult. All right.